Guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're going to be looking at a Creepymon mill deck for EX10. We are going purple hybrid as a core, and I do want to address the fact that you could build this deck with the EX3 and 4 Ghoulmon mill support. However, the Evo costs for that line are all 3 on top of a non-Ghoulmon card, 4 for the level 5s, and I felt like the deck was just a little bit too slow to do anything different than what those two decks already do. So I opted for purple hybrid. I think it solves a couple of issues that the deck has, so bear with me and we will talk about the deck a little bit here. So 4 copies of BT16 Cupimon for our egg on deletion, trash card in your hand, gain a memory. Usual for the purple hybrid engine, being able to put Velgrmons in the trash and gain memory. It's going to be crucial for our game plan. I want 2 copies of BT10 Soundbirdmon. When attacking by placing a purple Digimon card from your hand under one of your tamers, draw 1. That's a really cool effect. We can do some shenanigans with that. And then opponent's turn, when an effect trashes this Digivolution card, gain a memory. That shouldn't come up hardly ever. We just care about putting some purple Digimon under our tamers to draw a card because we are in purple hybrid, so we can put some inheritables underneath our Duskmon stacks. We're going to run 4 copies of the new EX10 DemiDevimon. Start of your main phase, if your opponent has 10 or fewer cards in their trash, trash the top 2 cards of both players' deck. If they have 10 or more cards in their trash, gain a memory. This sucker is awesome to promote and then go into a level 4 that also mills cards. You're going to be able to rack up those 10 cards in trash that we're really looking for quite quickly. The inheritable here also, when attacking, trash the top card of both players' decks. Another good way to put cards in trash for both players. I'm on 4 copies of the ST16 Gabumon as well. Start of your main phase, if your opponent has a Digimon, gain a memory. When attacking, draw 1, then trash 1. I like this for 2 reasons. That gaining that memory, awesome. It's going to allow us to actually make some purple hybrid plays or put down tamers without getting super punished. Also, the Soundbirdmon also allowing us to put that Gabumon underneath the tamer and then eventually get a Duskmon that also draws us 1 and trashes 1 is really, really nice feeling. So I think the Gabumon is a nice fit here. For the level 4s, we're on 4 copies of the BT18 Duskmon. On play, when Digivolving, change the color of one of your Digimon to a non-white color. Good way to lock people out of non-tribal Evos. And then when attacking, we can basically Evo into a Velgrmon with the cost reduced by 1, so for 0, which is going to be our main purple hybrid combo. This costs 3 on a level 3, which hopefully shouldn't come up, but the inheritable here really shines. On deletion, play a tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your trash without paying the cost. Gets us our Koichis back when we kill our stack with the Velgrmon. Speaking of the Velgrmon, 3 copies here from BT18 on play when Digivolving. For each color your opponent's Digimon and Tamers have, trash the top card of both players' decks. Then for each card this effect trashed, you get 1 KDP. So more often than not, you're trashing 2 cards with this, and then you are getting up to 11k, 2 cards for each player. And then end of attack by deleting a level 4 or lower purple Digimon. Delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So you can pop this to delete all of your opponent's Digimon at the lowest level. It's going to trigger the Duskmon on deletion inherit. Going to trigger any other on deletions we have underneath it from either the Koichi or the Cupimon if we go on top of a level 3, and we're going to get some value for that. We are also going to run 4 copies of the new EX10 Devimon. Start of your main phase, and when Digivolving, if your opponent has 10 or fewer cards in their trash, trash the top 2 of both players' decks. Then if they have 10 or more cards in their trash, you may return a card with the Fallen Angel or Undead trait from your trash to the hand. When attacking, trash the top card of both players' decks. So this is another piece, just like the DemiDevimon, that helps us get to that 10 card threshold very quickly. You can promote this, trash the 2 cards, and go to SkullSatamon to trash 3 more, puts us at 5, and then Creepymon gets us to that 10. Just a really excellent piece to go along with the main game plan of Creepymon. For our level 5s, I am on 3 copies of BT14 SkullSatamon. On play, and when Digivolving, trash the top 2 cards of both players' decks, and when a card in your opponent's deck is trashed, gain a memory. This is a really cool piece because this will gain you a memory back when you Evo, so this is a 2-cost Evo, and if you have a training, this is a 0-cost Evo. Helps us push into Creepymon and guarantee that we can actually make the play, especially with the purple hybrid core. I think it's a little bit understated how good this is. Most of the time you're going to go into Duskmon for 2, and it might be really hard to go into a level 5 and then push to the level 6 after. With this setup, you can actually go into your level 4 with the Duskmon, go into the SkullSatamon for 0 in a high roll, and then you can get into that Creepymon to do your Creepymon plays, which is, again, awesome. We have 4 copies of the EX10 SkullSatamon. Another new card for this engine. Has blocker, which I really appreciate. When Digivolving and on deletion, if your opponent has 10 or fewer cards in their trash, trash the top 3 cards of both players' decks. Then delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. If your opponent has 10 or more cards in their trash, add 2 to this effect's level maximum. So we should hopefully be popping a level 5 with this card. Otherwise, we are milling some cards and getting some value. The inheritable here, when attacking, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn. If your opponent has 10 or fewer in their trash, instead trash the top 2 cards of both players' decks. Awesome effect because you can also layer this with the Creepymon effect to make sure that you're actually meeting the trash threshold before you use the Creepymon effect, and you can, instead of milling cards, do some other things. We are going to run as a partner to the Creepymon level 6, the Ghoulmon from BT14. When digivolving and when attacking, for every 10 cards in your trash the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. This pairs really nicely with a purple hybrid engine because we're going to be filling our own trash alongside the opponent's trash. The DemiDevi, the Devimon, and the SkullSatamon are also milling our cards, so we should be hitting 10 cards in trash at the same time as the opponent. So Ghoulmon is going to then allow us to mill the opponent faster than we are milling ourselves. If our opponent has 10 or more cards in their trash, we get sec +1 for the turn. Also synergizes really, really nicely with the SkullSatamon. This Ghoulmon can be coming in, swinging for 3 checks. If he doesn't die in security, then that is a lot of value to be getting here. Our main level 6 here, of course, is the EX10 Creepymon. When digivolving and on deletion, delete all of your opponent's lowest DP Digimon. If this effect didn't delete, trash their deck's top 5 cards. Part of the reason I really like the purple hybrid core with this deck is that it does delete bodies consistently and frequently. And being able to delete those bodies before you put a Creepymon on the board guarantees that you can actually trash their deck's top 5 cards, which is a huge piece in us actually milling out the opponent. So I find that that is where this truly shines over the EX3 and 4 Ghoulmon mill package and makes it maybe the more logical choice. When attacking, if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their trash, you may play a red or purple 5k DP or lower Digimon card from your trash to an empty breeding area without paying the cost, and end of turn you get to attack. So something that we did talk about earlier is you can use the SkullSatamon effect first to trash the top 2 cards of both players' decks to try and make sure that there are 10 cards in trash for your opponent so that you can actually get that red or purple body in raising and get that offensive pressure going. So that's super cool. And then, of course, being able to attack at the end of your turn is huge. We don't have to keep turn when we evo into this, and we should be able to get the when digivolving and when attacking. For our options, 1 copy of Jack's Raid, we are filling our trash quite quickly, so being able to gain some memory for whatever's in trash feels nice if we get it. Otherwise, you know, we mill over it. Boohoo, sucks. But 4 copies of Wisdom Training, reveal top 2, add a purple card, helps us get our evos up the line into the Creepymon very efficiently in the back. We can promote that Devimon, mill 2, go into the SkullSatamon with the training, mill 3 more, and then use the Creepymon to get the rest of our effects here. So Wisdom Training comes up clutch. I don't usually run it in purple hybrid decks, but I feel like it makes sense because we are trying to evo up the stack with the Devimon. 2 copies of Rival Barrage is going to help us get our pieces back and make sure that we have what we actually want. 3 copies of BT7 Koichi Kimura, on play, draw 1, trash 1, and the on deletion is going to gain us 2 memory with the Duskmon combo. So, of course, we're going to run it, and we are going to run it alongside the BT18 Koichi Kimura. Start of your main phase by trashing a card with the Hybrid or 10 Warriors trait in your hand, gain a memory. When attacking, you may return a card with the Hybrid or 10 Warriors trait from trash to hand. It's going to help us grab back our Duskmon and keep the engine rolling here. And of course, it is a Koichi in name. Like we talked about, we need these to be able to go into the Duskmon effectively. My memory setter of choice here, Owen Dreadnought from BT18. If you have 2 or less memory, set it to 3. And then all turns, when your opponent's security stack is removed from, by suspending this tamer, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4k or less. This comes up huge because if we use this when Velgrmon checks security, we can pop something 4k or less by suspending this tamer, and that might actually change what the lowest level Digimon on the opponent's board is. Then Velgrmon can use its effect to delete whatever that next lowest body is, and we want to make sure that the board is clear, like we talked about for Creepymon, because if the opponent's board is clear, we can mill them for 5. So we put them closer to being milled out by consistently removing their bodies. That's kind of what Owen's here to do, and I think he does it very, very well. Some other cards you can run with this deck, just because we're talking about Owen Dreadnought being a bit of a weird choice. That promo Gallantmon feels really, really great here. A bunch of the Ghoulmon support actually feels really great here, but they are a little bit awkward to fit in. I thought about Crimson Mode Ace, but again, it's a little awkward. You can't grab it with Rivals Barrage, and the Ghoulmon is not an eligible Ace target, so a little bit awkward. Beelzemon Ace totally works here. The Blast Mode Ace. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What are you doing with this card? What engine are you putting Creepymon in? How are you playing Mill with this man? I would love to hear about it, of course, in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and DigiDane who make videos like this possible.